Hi, my name is Tim Chappell, and this is my presentation on Lazy Eights as a maneuver. So first off, we're going to ask what are Lazy Eights? It's a commercial maneuver required to pass your commercial check ride. It's not really important to you if you're a private pilot. Um, the purpose of the maneuver is to just help, obviously, coordination. All maneuvers should help, help you to understand and better know how to fly the plane and how the plane um, acts in certain ways and in certain configurations. The whole and as you'll notice if you're learning about it or while you're doing it, is that the whole point of lazy is it's in the name is very lazy, very slow, very controlled, little inputs being made. So it's not exactly it's an easy maneuver in the way that you don't have to do a lot, but it sometimes is hard almost to not do a lot. It's easy to want to over control in this maneuver because it's precise, but it the whole point of it is to be slow. Um, so getting right into it, I guess no, I didn't know my face is gonna be covering it. But the pre-maneuver checklist, make sure perform your clearing turns before doing it. When you're in the plane, bug a heading. Um, when you do it, like you're gonna start on this heading, and then also make sure you pick a visual point, so a lake or a water tower, or I mean, if you want to, like there's that big cloud up ahead of us. And then pick a point at your, if you can, pick one here, off your nose at, off the, what is that, the 30 degree, or correction, 15 or something, and then 45, or sorry, 45, then 90, and then 135, and then 180. So you pick your visual points, and then you also look inside the, okay, I'm going to fly heading of east to start it, so that, when I get to this point, it's different stages. We'll get into that later. Um, when we enter, at least in our case, we entered this maneuver at 95 knots. And then we have to do this maneuver at about 1500 feet AGL. So kind of breaking down the maneuver and going back to the other picture. The biggest thing, I mean, you can do it eyes outside if you really know the plane, but as far as, being within the airspeed limitations and altitude limitations, doing your scan is gonna be very important. So whether that's, if you're starting the maneuver, I guess so starting the maneuver, um, so boom, you're at 95 knots. For the first third, you're gonna slowly pitch up and bank to the left. So basically, you're slowly pitch up, and like I said, the whole point of it is just a slow maneuver. So bank up, pitch back on the controls. You're in your left-hand turn. After the first, you're in 15 degrees of bank, and then once you roll up across that 45, you're gonna keep a constant pitch. You're gonna roll to 30 degrees of bank. Once you get to the 90, you're going to start taking out the bank, and you're have something called slicing across. It's very difficult to explain, but you're going to basically, you're going to remember you're pitching up, you're turning. When you get to that 90, you're going to let the nose kind of fall. You're almost let go of the yoke and let the nose come down. You're going to continue that um, descent. You're going to bring the bank out to 15 degrees. Once you get to 135 degrees off your original point, you'll start pulling back to reduce the airspeed, get down to your original altitude, and then you'll finally roll out at 180. Hopefully on 180 degree turn from where you are, same altitude, and what is it? Yeah, that's the whole point of the maneuver. Making sure your scan, like I was going back to that other picture, make sure you go through your scan, is the biggest thing. So boom, you're outside, you're picking up off the 90. So, your 90-degree point outside with a lake somewhere. So, okay, boom, I'm about to get to that lake, I'm at 84 knots and I'm at this heading. And then so you can kind of reference yourself and look at your VSI and see, oh, I'm climbing a little bit too slow. Oh, I'm climbing a little bit too fast. Just going through, and even though it might sound like there's a lot, once you get the hang of it, it's just pitch back easy on the controls, and then you get to 15, and then you add a little more bank, and then you let the nose come down, and you take out that bank. When you take out that bank, you're going to pull back on the control just a little bit to reduce that airspeed because you're going to be, descending. So you're going to pick up some airspeed. So you're going to start getting back down to the altitude. You're going to slow down. You're going to roll hopefully right out on 180 return behind you from where you started, and just the airspeed and just the altitude you started. So now we're on to why do lazy eights matter for our training? For a pre-private, like I said, it doesn't matter. You're not going to be using this maneuver. It could be beneficial, I guess, to understand the aircraft a little bit better and to know what's coming ahead for the next phase of your training. But the whole point is just it helps you know what your aircraft is going to be doing. So something like Cessna, it's a relatively stable aircraft, or at least always wants to return to equilibrium. So when you put those control, inputs in, it might not want to stay at that bank. But as soon as you come out of that, get to the 90, you come out of that turn, it's going to want to level off. It's going to want to descend to its trimmed out altitude. It's a constant power setting throughout the whole maneuver. So it's going to want to get basically back to where you started. So it'll make it easier on you. Like I said, the whole point is just letting you be able to control the aircraft with minimal control inputs, to help your overall understanding of how the aircraft moves. Yeah, that's it. That's the presentation.